Have you ever watched an athlete and just wondered, how did they do that? What's the real difference between someone who's good and someone who is truly a champion? Well, a huge part of it isn't just in the muscles, it's in the mind. Today, we're going deep into the psychology of sports to uncover the mental game behind peak performance.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics. What psychology even is. Then, we'll take a look at how an athlete's mind is shaped through life. We'll put the turbulent teenage years under a microscope, explore the magic that makes a great team click, and finally, we'll open up the mental toolkit every single champion needs to have.
All right, let's jump right in with the big question. When you see an amazing play, you're seeing the physical result. But what's going on behind the scenes? What's that invisible force that pushes an athlete from good to great? Well, the answer, my friends, is all about psychology.
So what is psychology really? At its core, it's the science of how we think, feel, and act. The word itself is pretty cool. It literally breaks down to the science of the soul. It's all about digging into the why behind everything we do, not just on the field, but in every part of our lives.
Now let's take that big idea and narrow it down to the world of sports. Sports psychology is where we look at how an athlete's thoughts, their focus, their motivation directly impacts how they perform. It's all about figuring out how to unlock the full power of the body by first understanding the mind.
But here's the thing. A champion's mind isn't just created in a day. It's built, piece by piece, over an entire lifetime. To really get it, we need to look at the whole journey of human development, because each stage lays down a critical piece of that mental foundation.
It all starts way back in infancy, just learning basic motor skills. Then, as kids, we figure out how to play with others, how to cooperate. Adolescence hits and bam! It's this huge explosion of figuring out who you are while your body is peaking. Adulthood brings that peak strength and smarter thinking. And finally, old age brings wisdom. Every single stage adds another layer.
Okay, now, of all those stages, if we're talking about developing an athlete, adolescence is probably the most critical and the most chaotic. It's a time of massive change, physically, mentally, you name it. It's a time of just incredible potential, but also some really big challenges.
And what's really fascinating is how this period evolves. In early adolescence, it's all about the right now. Then you hit those middle years, and that's often when family conflict is at its peak, because teens are so self-focused. But then, as you move into late adolescence, you see this shift to more abstract thought, planning for the future, and deeper, more mature relationships. It's a wild ride.
And yeah, this pretty much sums up the internal storm, right? You're fighting for independence, your moods are all over the place, you're worried about how you look, and the pressure from friends is just immense. These are all normal parts of growing up, but for a young athlete juggling all of that plus their sport, it can be absolutely overwhelming.
So, how do you help a young athlete navigate all of that chaos? Well, it really boils down to having a rock-solid support system. We're talking about parents who get it, coaches who provide real guidance, and just being open and honest about all the changes they're going through. It's about giving them the tools to understand themselves.
Okay, so we've looked at the individual athlete, but so many sports are about the team, the group. So let's switch gears. Have you ever wondered why some teams, even if they don't have all the superstars, just click? Why do they become this unstoppable force together?
The secret ingredient has a name. It's called team cohesion. You can think of it as the superglue that holds a team together. It's that feeling of unity, that bond, that commitment to a single goal that turns a bunch of individuals into one single, powerful unit.
And this cohesion isn't just one thing. It actually comes in two main flavors. First, you have task cohesion. That's all about the mission. Everyone is laser-focused on winning the championship. Then you have social cohesion. That's about the relationships. The players actually like and respect each other off the court. The truly legendary teams, they have a powerful mix of both.
But that kind of bond doesn't just happen overnight. Teams have to go through stages. First, there's forming, where everyone's new and polite. Then comes the tough part, storming. This is where conflict happens. People fight for roles. But if they can get through that, they hit norming, where trust starts to build. And finally, they reach performing, where they operate like a well-oiled machine.
Okay, so we have our developing athlete and we have our cohesive team. Now let's get practical. Let's open up that psychological toolkit and look at the specific mental skills that elite athletes train just as hard as any muscle in their body.
First up, and this one is the absolute foundation,
is attention. It's the ability to zoom your focus in on what matters, the ball, the next play, while blocking out all the noise. And that noise isn't just the screaming crowd. It's the pressure, it's the score, and maybe most importantly, it's that little voice of doubt inside your own head.
Next in the toolkit, resilience. Because let's be honest, in sports, you are going to fail. It's a guarantee. You'll lose a game, you'll get injured, you'll have a bad day. Resilience isn't about trying to never fall down. It's the mental muscle that decides how fast you get back up, ready to go again.
And that brings us to what might be the ultimate mental weapon, mental toughness. This is where an athlete doesn't just survive under pressure, they actually thrive in it. It's that incredible ability to stay confident, focused, and totally in control when everything is on the line.
So what does that really look like? It's having unshakable confidence in yourself and being the calm in the storm. But at its very heart, it's this simple phrase right here. It's that relentless, never give up attitude. It's the mindset that takes all that crushing pressure and turns it into fuel.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought. Athletes spend thousands of hours training their bodies, perfecting every little technique. But the greatest of the great, they know the real game is won or lost in the 6 inches between their ears. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Your body is trained, but is your mind?